you know, Vimutta, you should get one of those clapper boards after you count down, you know. Take one. Hello, people on the YouTube. It's me again, giving you a little talk, coming here from Jhana Grove. And it's nice to be able to do that again. This morning, me and Venerable Vimutta, who is doing the recording, he's behind the screen, I can't see him, but we were having breakfast in the monastery in Bodhinyana, and we decided to walk over here together. And he was still finishing his breakfast. I was already done, and I noticed, maybe it was, I didn't notice correctly, but I thought he was sort of rushing to get his breakfast done so we could go over. And then I decided to mime with an empty cup as if I was still drinking tea, you know, to get him to think that I was still drinking something, so he didn't have to rush. And then I thought to myself, I'm feasting on emptiness, you know, because there was nothing in the cup. I was just pretending and just drinking nothing, basically. And my name, Sunyo, also means empty, means, empty. That's what it literally means. And why is there in Buddhism this focus on emptiness? And why do I like that teaching so much that I chose my name to be Sunyo, be empty? Because Ajahn Brahm doesn't give monks names, because that's a traditional thing that the teacher will give the monk a certain name. But Ajahn Brahm says, I've given so many names, and sometimes I give a name that people don't like or don't find inspiring. So he just lets us pick our own names, basically. And why did I decide on Sunyo? Most monks, they choose something that is some sort of quality that they try to live up to, like Ananda meaning joy, or Vimutta meaning liberation. But Sunyo, that just means empty. What is it so inspiring about that? You know, it doesn't sound very inspiring. Also, when I was talking to my mother and I explained what it means, she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll remember that." But it's hard to see the inspiration in emptiness, and I can't explain it in words. Also, it's something that you have to feel inside. The beauty of emptiness. And this morning, after I woke up, I had a cup of water and then meditated. And I thought, I better get a good meditation, you know, because I have to give a talk. I better be all fired up and peaceful. And so I sit there meditating. Okay, bring in the peace. No, it doesn't work. Bring in the joy. No, doesn't work either, you know. I'm trying to create things in my mind. I'm trying to push in the happiness and the joy, trying to fill my mind up, basically. But it didn't take me that long, actually, to notice, you bloody fool, Sunyo, this is not how you meditate. It doesn't work at all, not today anyway. After a few minutes, I noticed I should focus on emptiness instead of on trying to fill things up, trying to focus on what is not there. Yeah. And you can compare it to, well, this hall today is very empty. There's a nun here, and Vimutta is in the back there. But apart from that, and I'm here, but it's very empty. So it's easy to focus on the emptiness of this hall now, because there's almost nobody here. But sometimes when there's a retreat, and it's full of people, you almost can't fit any others in. Or when we have the Katina ceremony, which will be in 3 months from now, then if there's no more COVID regulations, then there will be hundreds of people in this hall, and you might think, oh, this hall is all full, it's full. But is that true? Because there is still all the empty air above us and around us. There's always the emptiness as well. So instead of just focusing on the fullness of people of the hall, you can focus also on the emptiness of the hall that is always also there. So when I'm sitting here for the Katina ceremony, I'll be sitting somewhere down the line of monks, and I can either think, oh, it's so full and noisy here, or I can focus on the emptiness. And it's the same in meditation. Maybe you have trouble thinking with thoughts. It's a common problem people have. They struggle with their thoughts. And then you can focus on the fullness of the thoughts, as it were, or you can focus on the emptiness that is also there, that is behind the thoughts. Or maybe you have another problem, maybe with pain in your body, you can focus on that, or you focus on, it's hard to explain, but on the emptiness inside. Don't focus then on your body, but on the emptiness. And like me this morning, stupid as I was, trying to fill myself up with joy instead of focusing on the beautiful silence and emptiness that is already present inside. So that's just one thing. That was a little contemplation I had this morning. But I also realized that sometimes actually it does work to create joy inside your mind. This morning I did it with the wrong attitude. I was craving, as it were, for the joy and the peace. And I wasn't just creating it skillfully, as the Buddha would say. Skillful Dhamma, kusala Dhamma, he would say. You have to do things like a good cook would make a nice meal, and a bad cook would make a bad meal, whatever the ingredients are. Same way, a meditator, when he's a good meditator, he can create out of whatever ingredients there are, can create a nice meal for the mind, a nice peaceful meditation. But you can't always use the same approach every day. Today it worked very well for me, focus on the emptiness. Maybe this afternoon I'll try it again, and then because of wrong attitude again, I'm maybe desiring the emptiness, desiring to recreate the peace I found this morning. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. That's what I find anyway, and I think many of you who meditate often will find the same. You try the same routine that you did before and it worked so well the first time. And you try it again. Yes, now I finally know how to meditate. I'm going to become enlightened this week. But no, just because of wrong attitude, desire, or just too much assumptions or whatever, it doesn't work. This made me realize, maybe that's why I don't so much like guided meditations, to be honest. It's maybe, I don't know if that's right to say, because the monks have been giving so many guided meditations, and I'm supposed to give one also, and now I'm saying that I don't like them. But here's why I don't like them, actually. Sometimes it's okay, but the thing is, with guided meditation, somebody else tells you, do this, do this, do this. But sometimes, very often for me actually, that's not what my mind needs that day at all. I'm maybe need to go the other way. Maybe they say focus on the joy, when that day it's much better for me to focus on the emptiness. or they say focus on the emptiness, it's much better for me that they focus on the joy. Yeah. So this is a problem sometimes with guided meditations, and I'm supposed to give one also later. But I want you to know that if ever I give a guided meditation and you don't want to do something completely different to what I'm telling you, then please do. Because sometimes your mind just needs to do something else. Yeah? Not the same as what I'm doing. You need to find your own way. It's in the modern times now, we use internet to communicate. I'm talking to just a few little people in here, but a lot of you are watching on the internet, and same is with much other things in the modern day. They only go through internet now, like visa applications for monks and communication with all sorts of official bodies and all these things. So the monks and the nuns, they unfortunately we need to use internet now sometimes for these official businesses. So in Bodhinyana we are building a new office where we can the monks can go to do these things on the internet. So there'll be some computers there, etc. And a few days ago, me and some other monks, we were assembling the IKEA furniture that somebody ordered them, and they came by truck, and we had to put it all together. Well, anybody who has ever assembled IKEA furniture, you know what I'm talking about. They come with these instructions. Step 1, put it like this, not like that, you know. It even tells you which side, and it tells you to put it on the cardboard, and then step by step, it tells you exactly, put this plug in this hole. Take this screwdriver and screw this way, you know, step by step. And some of the other monks, they were saying, this is really, I like this is a lot of fun. It's just like Legos, like being a kid. And I was sitting there, wasn't then really enjoying it all that much actually, not at all to be honest. And I realized why. Because again, it's this step by step, you know. It tells you what to do. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And I don't really enjoy that. I like it much more when I can use my creativity and my own experimentation to find out how to do stuff. So sometimes I build little furniture things, or last thing I made was window sashes for one of the huts. I made them from scrap and without any drawings, just taking some woodworking tools. I like to use the hand tools, and made them all from scratch. That's much more fun. You make some mistakes along the way because there's no step-by-step plan, but it's more fun. And also the IKEA thing, at some point I decided, I'm just going to do it without the instructions. She'll be right, you know. That's what the Australians say. She'll be right. Basically meaning it'll be okay. Of course I made mistakes and put the wrong plug in the wrong hole and stuff like that, but you know, you learn. It's more fun, I find. And it's the same with meditation. Meditation is not something where somebody gives you a list, focus on this, then focus on this, then focus on that. Put this plug in this hole, as it were. If you do that, well, occasionally it sort of works, but I find it's much more enlightening, as it were, and much more educating to be creative and try your own things. Find your own way. through meditation. And so that's what I want to do my guided meditation about, is to find your own way and be creative. Don't have a step-by-step plan. And that also means to not analyze too much. Don't overanalyze what is going on in your meditation. When I was doing my master thesis in university, I studied in Delft, in the Netherlands. I studied mechanical engineering. And I was doing my master thesis on magnetizable fluids. And well, I won't go into details, but my thesis supervisor, he was called Yo, and he had this excellent advice he gave me once. It was supposed to be on engineering, but I applied it to so many other things in my life. He once told me on one of our first meetings, he said, Simon, that's my lay name, he said, Simon, whenever I give other students a problem, they start looking for the solution straight away. But what I want you to do is just to look at the problem, and then the solution will come by itself. And I didn't really understand him at first. But it turned out he was true. Or he was right, sorry. That if you try too much to find the answer, the solution to things, you don't have the right mindfulness to focus on what is already there. Yeah? You create like this desire, this tension. And so even in engineering, I found out that most of the solution, they came when I wasn't thinking about trying to find a solution. I was just focusing on the problem itself. And it's the same in meditation. Instead of trying to go for this, whatever we think enlightenment will be or what deep meditation will be, just stay with the present moment and see what is there. And don't overanalyze, don't create this tension inside. So, one day, this is a joke, one day Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson went out camping. And they put up their tent and they went inside in their sleeping bags and sleeping there. And in the middle of the night, Sherlock Holmes, he pokes into Dr. Watson. Watson, wake up, Watson. And what, Dr. Watson? Huh? What is that? What is up, Mr. Holmes? And Sherlock Holmes says, look up, Watson. What do you see? And Watson is like, I see a starry sky. And Holmes says, that's right, Watson. What does that teach you? And Dr. Watson is like, what does it teach me? Let me analyze it. Well, first of all, I see all those stars, and it makes me feel as if the universe is so big. And it creates this emotion of me being just a small part of the universe, but also being integrated in it. I feel as one with it. And also, when I look at the stars, I can use my navigation skills, and I know exactly where we are on the planet Earth. And I can also use the stars and know what time it is now. And there's so many things I can learn from the stars. And then Sherlock Holmes said, Watson, you idiot! Somebody stole our tent! You know, because I went to sleep in the tent and then suddenly you see the sky. What is the conclusion? The tent is stolen. So instead of analyzing so much about the stars, the answer is obvious if you just focus on the right thing. Because sometimes we can get, I see that this in my own mind anyway, we get so we have a certain method of doing things, and we get so ingrained into it that it becomes hard to go another way. It may be that we have a certain way of creating peace in our mind that we try to use every time, but sometimes this is just like Watson over-analyzing. We are over-trying this method in a way. And we can get, instead of just letting things come automatically, we try to create the things, or we overthink them. And we get stuck in patterns that we use. So, yeah. Next to my hut, there's a big pile of rocks. Obviously somebody made it, like one big rock, then a smaller rock, and a smaller rock. It's as high as a person. And the first time I went to that hut, when I moved huts, I walked with the monk who was there previously, who stayed in that hut before me. And we walked past this pile of rocks. I call it a stupa, if you will. And I asked this monk, did you build this? And then he told me this funny story that he used to stay in that hut before. Then another monk from a Korean monk moved in there for a week or 3, and he made that whole pile of rocks. Then that Korean monk left, and the other monk came back from wherever he was traveling, came back to his hut, and apparently he's been walking past that pile of rocks for months without seeing it until that Korean monk sent an email or whatever, or called him and said, how do you like my stupa? And he was like, stupa? Stupa? It's right next to the path. It's like 2 meters next to the path. But he must have been so focused on that path that he just didn't see it. And maybe that's a good thing, I don't know. Maybe he's so mindful that he doesn't notice it. But it is sort of a simile for meditation, that sometimes we can get so focused on just one path that we think is the right path that we miss out the stupa, or in meditation we miss out the other ways we can go. The stupa sort of stands for the Buddha, as it were. We miss out the Buddha inside of us. Yeah. So it is about, meditation is not about having one single way to go, and also not to decide before you meditate what is gonna happen. That doesn't work for me. Like, okay, if every morning from 5 to 6 I will do metta meditation for the rest of this range retreat. If I decide like that, nope. That is just 1 hour wasted right there, basically. It's much better to sit down in meditation and just have a look at your mind. And to see, what does it need today, and how can I use my own creativity and my own methods to find the peace today and the stillness. How can I make my mind unmoving? And to do this in a natural way, not in a IKEA-like step-by-step way, but to let things come. And have the trust that after listening to all these talks by all these nuns and monks, that you should know by now how to meditate. Just have that faith that all the information you need is inside of you, inside of your heart or your mind. And it'll come up when you need it. You don't have to force it up, you don't have to go and looking for it. So you can just let that be your only instruction for meditation. I will meditate here and let the insights, whatever you want to call it, or the approaches to meditation, I will just let them come naturally. And I won't force it. I'll just let go and enjoy the peace that may come in whatever way. Then we can be natural in a meditation. We can adjust to the situation that arises, whatever it is. This morning, my situation was I was trying to fill my head up. Yeah? So I had to realize, oh, it doesn't work. I have to focus on emptiness today, as I explained to you before. But another day, maybe the opposite. I may have to actually create some joy and peace. I was in another monastery a while ago in Albany. This Venerable Mudu is still there. And I was helping him out for a little bit. And Albany, for those who don't know, is right next to the sea, at the south of Australia, southwest. And it can get very windy there, which is quite nice actually. But one day I went on a walk to the beach. And on the beach, they have these huge cliffs also. At that beach there was a little pavilion or something that you can stand in and when it's raining. And I just walked in there, not because it was raining, but just to have a little look over the sea. And what I saw was some kind of falcon, or I'm not a bird expert, but some sort of bird was floating there right at eye level with me, because I was standing on these 100+ meter cliffs, and the bird was floating, maybe he was 20 meters away, but he was floating above the sea. And it was so windy, I could barely stand. I was almost blown over. But it wasn't like the wind was continuous, when the wind is like that, first it blows very hard and then it softens up again. And then it gets hard again, and it's very unpredictable. It comes from different angles also. But this bird, it just floated in one place. And I could see if the wind would suddenly be stronger, it would immediately make a little slight adjustment to his wings. And so it could still float in one place. It was so still, this bird. Perfectly still. It didn't move a single inch back and forth. It was quite amazing. At some point I was literally looking, is it not hanging by a string or something, like some kite or whatever? So still it was. And then I was walking back again to the monastery. Took like an hour walk. It's nice and peaceful. And at some point I thought of this bird again. I saw it, and I thought, that's just a little bit like what it's like in meditation, The defilements that come into our mind are a bit like the wind. And we want to be still like the bird. And how do we do that? Is it by fighting the defilements or trying to push them out? No, it's just like floating like the bird and making the slight little adjustments to stay in a single place. And make like slight little adjustments in our mind, like the bird makes adjustments in his wings. And these adjustments only work if we let them come naturally. Like the bird doesn't think about how to move his wings. It's just his nature, or her nature, to fly like that. And the same for us meditators. It's our nature to become peaceful. We have all the skills already. It's not about new knowledge that we have to get. Just applying the knowledge that is already deep inside. And I could say much more about that, but I better stop there because we are supposed to do a little guided meditation as well. And so, for this meditation, let's start by just sitting down. And I'm not going to give you much more instructions. than just saying. Just allow yourself just allow yourself to be certain that you have all the skills that you need for meditation. You don't need this monk here to tell you what to do, like a piece of IKEA furniture description. No. You know for yourself. And just create that certainty and that trust in the Dhamma, as it were. That we've got it all inside. And whatever we need to do, it'll come up naturally. So just create that certainty. And then you will find that your body and mind will find their own way in meditation. You don't need to tell it to do metta or some kind of vipassana or samatha or whatever. No. Just let it do its own thing. Let it move towards peace and quiet all by itself. So that is my little instruction to you. And from here on, it's up to, I was going to say up to you, but that's not even true. It's up to your mind, up to the Dhamma that's already in there, what is going to happen. So just let it come. Don't force things in or out. And just have a nice time. A creative time. Natural time meditating. And I'll ring the bell in maybe 20 minutes from now. And just do whatever comes naturally until then. Just have the trust that you know what to do. That's all you need. we have trust that we know, that the mind knows what to do, then all the solutions come automatically. We just stay in the present moment. So we're nearing the end of this short meditation together. Now you can ask yourself in those 15 or 20 minutes now, what worked to create more peace, more stillness, more happiness? And what didn't work? What created just more agitation, irritation, and movement in the mind? And you might find that what worked were the things that you didn't force. They were the things that the mind brought up all by itself, because it knows what to do. And those things that didn't work, you might find, were most likely those things that we forced. The things that came from our desires or our anger. Anger may be a bit too strong of a word. Maybe that came from our annoyance with ourselves or our mind. When we come from that and we try, it doesn't work, does it? Just recall what worked and what didn't work. Just take a minute to enforce in our mind the right patterns. Okay, so thank you all for meditating with me and listening to whatever I have to say. So this was a little talk about how we can be creative and natural in our meditation by not forcing things, like being like a bird in the sky that floats still, that keeps still in one place, not by having a plan on how to do it, or by having steps on how to get somewhere, but just by relying on our natural abilities to meditate. So sometimes meditation can be a bit like sitting in a cart drawn by a horse. And whenever we try to steer this horse by pulling on the reins or hitting it with the whip, this particular horse, called the mind, it doesn't do what we ask it to do. This is a very stubborn horse. And if we tell it what to do, it'll go exactly the other way. This horse instead works much better when we let go of the reins and let it find its own path and draw our cart, where we're sitting in, to its final destination. And it knows exactly where to go. So we don't have to force these things or have a standard route or plan. Case in point being just the meditation I just did right now. I found myself thinking, oh, I'm gonna meditate, I'd better relax my body first. That is the standard instructions that I always get from Ajahn Brahm. And I actually found today that wasn't the right thing to do for me. For my mind, I should say. Because when I just listen to my own instruction of just trusting that the mind knows what to do, it didn't start relaxing the body. It just focused on the breath instead. And if I wanted to pull it off the breath, it was almost impossible because it was just the natural thing for my mind to do right now. And it was really peaceful, nice breathing, and my body relaxed regardless. It relaxed in the background while the mind was focusing on the breath. So that's just my experience for today, and I try to remember that for next time, is to let it come naturally, and then just enjoy, be creative. And that way, meditation also is much more fun and enjoyable, because you always discover new things. And it's not like assembling the same furniture step by step every time. It's like creating your own furniture. And then if ever you need to tell others about meditation, you can tell them also new things that you have discovered that work, instead of the 16 steps of Anapanasati or whatever. Not that they aren't good, but that's just one particular way of looking at things, and not the only way that we need to use. Anyway, I think I'm running out of time here. I think we only got 1 hour before the recording cuts off or something like that. So I'll just leave you with that. And may you be at peace and have lovely meditation.